doesn't it? I think they would agree. WCC basketball, BYU on the road to take on the number 16 ranked Bulldogs of Gonzaga. WCC standings, St. Mary's did drop a game on Thursday night down at LMU, so the lead for the Gales over the Zags in this conference as we're coming into the home stretch. Just a game. Gonzaga 9-2, BYU 6-6 in conference play. And hi everybody, Dave Fleming, Sean Farnham. As always, great to have you with us. No place better for college hoops than this place. And two teams have had a lot of great battles over the years in this building. BYU's actually had some success here, Sean, in the game that the two played in Provo just a few weeks ago, one of the games of the year in college basketball.
It really was, and it was a game that BYU probably should have won. They executed extremely well, and I think as we take a look back at that game, one of the biggest keys was they were able to space out the defense through their three-point shot. Whether it was Gideon George or Jackson Robinson, who had 17 points in that game, they spaced out Gonzaga, and they were able to knock down the perimeter shot. The one thing the Zags did well, and they do it so well every game, through Timmy and Anton Watson. 19 and 12 for Timmy, 18 and 9 for Anton Watson. They fed the ball down low. Their guards did not play well, but in the time that they needed, Julian Strother, step back, 9.8 seconds. Game, match, set point, came over, let you know, hey, Dave, that's the buzzer beater. Because you asked him for one, he gave you one on that night. We'll see if it comes down to that tonight.
that is a true story. Julian Strother is like the greatest half-court shooter during practice of any player I've ever seen. And I jokingly that day said, hey, you know, one of these days you got to give me one of those to call in a real game. And he goes, sure, I will. And he hit that shot at the end of the game in Provo.
And he came over and let you know about it.
And he did. He yelled at us after the game. So Julian Strother and the Zags coming off a really nice performance on Thursday. BYU, meanwhile, Sean, trying to bounce back from a very tough loss on the road at Pepperdine.
That's an understatement. I mean, they allowed Pepperdine to shoot 61% from the field in the second half. This is a team that has hung their hat on the defensive side of the ball. They've got to get their defense right tonight, and it starts with getting back in transition, trying to limit Gonzaga's ability to push.
So we'll see, can they slow down this Zags offense? BYU, until that game down in Malibu, had been playing really well on the defensive end. Zags had the ball first, and Timmy, who had a monster first half against San Francisco, scores his first basket of the game, and he'll go to the free throw line.
Looks like that loss to St. Mary's just woke up through Timmy. I mean, he came out and from the get-go established himself against San Francisco on Thursday night inside this building, and first possession there, they isolate him and they let him go. He had 21 points. He had 20 of them in the first half. He only played like maybe 2 or 3 minutes in the second half.
Misses the free throw, so no three-point play, and BYU will have it for the first time. I think it's critical BYU gets off to a decent start here.
Mark Pope said as much to us when he talked to us earlier today. He said, hey, look, we've got to manage this game for the first 5 to 6 minutes and get off to a successful start. You can't let the Zags get out and run on their home floor.
Traore had a good look and just missed it. And you have to figure there's some scar tissue from the way the game played out on Thursday. Nolan Hickman, they left him open, and he knocks down the jumper.
Great job just settling right there at the free throw line.
Traore goes all the way down the lane, and Watson somehow got a hand on it and blocked the shot. What a play by one of the great defensive players in the country, Anton Watson. What did Mark Few tell us? He had 11 or 12 deflections in the game on Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, just so active in his hands. I mean, you talk about great defensive players in this conference this year. It's Bowen and it's Watson for Defensive Player of the Year. You can stop the discussion point there.
Timmy dribbles into a 2 and hits it.
Great start for Gonzaga here in front of their home crowd.
Spencer Johnson through traffic, and there's the first points of the night for BYU.
He is like the calm. Like, he is the zen of BYU. He just can settle everything down.
Anton Watson got great position down low. That was easy.
Well, they gave up 61% shooting the other night. They're giving up 100% so far. I mean, it's 4 for 4 to start this game. BYU's got to lock in and try to make somebody feel uncomfortable on the defensive end of the floor.
Gideon George, Watson got another deflection. Shot clock winding down. Jackson Robinson's got to shoot. He does, and hits the three. And we welcome those of you joining us from Maples Pavilion. What a win for Stanford. Big upset against Arizona. Dave Fleming, Sean Farnham, we're here in Spokane. Gonzaga, BYU, and a jump ball. Drew Timme, who has a couple buckets already in the early minutes. Gonzaga's offense has been almost unstoppable, but BYU with a couple baskets of their own. It's an 8-5 game just 2.5 minutes in.
Yeah, so far Gonzaga's done an excellent job getting the ball down low in the paint. Timme's got 4 points. Watson's got 2. A good start, 4 for 4 shooting. That was a held ball situation. Their first possession they have failed to score on so far in this game.
Gonzaga coming off a nice bounce-back win after they lost a week ago tonight in Moraga against the first-place St. Mary's Gales. BYU, tough loss on Thursday. Robinson missed that three. BYU just 6-6 in conference play, and they've really struggled on the road in WCC play.
Coming off that game against Pepperdine, they allowed the Waves to shoot 61% in the second half.
Timme finds a wide-open Strother for three.
This Zags offense all of a sudden starting to have that look like yesteryear's Zags offense. The ball movement is a lot crisper. Timme gets the offensive rebound, doesn't force it back up in traffic. Instead sets the table and gets a wide open shot up for his teammate.
Traore got fouled. Hickman came with some help, and I think he got called for the personal. I think you're right. Gonzaga's offense, it's been they're the top scoring team and top shooting team in the country this year, so it's not like they haven't been good, but at times it hasn't been quite up to their standard.
The standard is crazy high, but that is the bar that has been set.
Watson poked it away. Anton Watson, just incredible hands on defense. Now a scramble for it, and jump ball on this end.
That is twice that Anton Watson has been active, deflected the ball away, got a block shot earlier in this game, and then that time defensively, he does that so well, and he does it over and over again. Worth noting, when we were on ESPN News, you mentioned it, that Mark Few told us at shoot-around, he had 11 or 12 deflections the other night against San Francisco.
One game. Atiki Ali Atiki is in for BYU, so Mark Pope's going with a little bigger line. We don't see Traore and Atiki play together very often. Strother hits another three.
Watch out, because he can get going. He had 40 against Portland where he knocked down 8 threes. He has struggled since then behind the arc, but 2 for 2 early in this game.
Spencer Johnson takes a handoff. Dallin Hall, you and I were there in Provo when BYU lost a close one to St. Mary's. Dallin Hall had a great game that night. Here he'll shoot the three and banked it in.
He had 23 in that game against St. Mary's. They don't necessarily need that, but they need him to be aggressive.
Bolton down low to Watson. Right back to Bolton, and they left him open. Off the mark, though. Johnson, nice look. Robinson, corner three, good.
That's what BYU did in the first game. They got out in transition. They had multiple shooters space the floor, and they made that extra pass. When you make the extra pass, the quality of shot increases so much.
Jackson Robinson, he played really well against the Zags in Provo. Watson drives, scores. Gonzaga's 7 for 9 shooting the ball. Johnson, nice shot fake. His three is good.
Well, and all of a sudden, a team that started struggling from the field is 4 of 5 from beyond the arc already in BYU. That's why they're in this game right now.
They have won here. They haven't been playing in the WCC for that long, a little more than a decade. They've won here 3 times. And this has been a place, relatively speaking, they've actually had some success as a program.
The storyline from Provo was pretty clear. I think Cougar fans, they know Julian Strother can knock down a shot. He did it late in the game there, but ball movement, wide open threes, key for the Cougs here tonight.
Well, these two teams, we told you, one of the games of the year in college basketball just a few weeks ago in Provo.
Yeah, great ball movement, led to great floor spacing. 13 made three-pointers on the night for BYU. They had control of the game. The area they struggled to stop was the interior presence. Timme and Watson, they combined for 37 points and 21 rebounds in the game. After a couple of careless passes, some heroic three-point shots, the game came down to this, and Julian Strother stepped on in and knocked that down with it. Ended up being 9.8 seconds. And that was the game-winning shot right there. A little hug from Kelly Olynyk, who was on the sideline with Colin Sexton. A lot of all-stars in the building that night. Jalen Suggs, Paolo Banchero. It was fun.
It was a star-studded night, huge crowd, great atmosphere. Mark Few's team, Mark is one of the all-time greats, but his team escaped that night. That's a game BYU should have won. They were up by 4 with the ball with just over a minute to go and couldn't finish it out at home. And in a lot of ways, Mark Pope's team has had a hard time bouncing back from that.
Yep. You'd say the same thing in the game, obviously, they had against St. Mary's as well. Aiden Mahaney hit the shot with 0.3 seconds. They got off the mat, got off to a slow start here tonight, but picking it up a little bit, mainly the offensive end.
Yeah, on a 9-2 run, Strother missed that shot. And the 2 big man lineup, you talked about how Gonzaga took advantage of him inside in that game. Watson almost got the steal. Traore didn't shoot it. But maybe the adjustment for Mark Pope is a little more of this Atiki and Traore on the floor together. One dribble. Here's Rudy Williams off the bench. His first shot is no good.
Pretty good defense that time. Anton Watson again. Active hands defensively. Number 22 in white, one of the best defensive players in the conference.
You and I have a few more weeks to talk about the conference awards. It's not a clear-cut
We could
year.
do like Lenardi and say, as of right now.
As of tonight, Timmy had it knocked out of bounds and it went off the leg of a BYU player. But I personally would argue for Watson and Kyle Bowen sharing the Defensive Player of the Year award. It's just, how do you pick between those two?
And what's unique about it is a lot of times when you got Defensive Player of the Year, it's either going to be a great shot blocker or a guard that's really good on ball. You're talking about versatile foremen that can guard multiple positions, can switch out, can communicate on ball screens and really go 1 through 4 and even 1 through 5.
Some substitutions on both sides. Hunter Salas in, Malachi Smith is in, Ben Gregg off the bench for the Zags. Timmy is going to have to shoot it with the shot clock winding down. Ben Gregg offensive rebound and then ripped away. Here comes BYU out in the open court. Noah Waterman, open 3, too strong. He has really struggled from the outside. And that's supposed to be his calling card. Timmy runs the floor beautifully and missed the layup. And Timmy might have hurt himself on the landing. He's limping a little bit and slow to get down. Now he's all alone.
He's fine
it
now.
worked out pretty well for him. He is still hurting though.
His shoe came off as he fell too.
So maybe that's part of it. He says he's okay. He's telling Mark Few, I'm all right. Everybody in Gonzaga land can take a big, deep sigh of relief.
Wendell Green earlier to Auburn. His shoe fell off and he was slamming his foot down on the floor and hit a big 3-point shot in that game against Alabama.
Yeah, that was an amazing play. Noah Waterman got the bucket there. You got to give BYU credit. Gonzaga's firing offensively in the first half, and BYU's hanging with them.
Well, and conversely, defensive efficiency and consistency is the biggest key.
Timmy gets called for the foul. He's showing the mark like, I didn't do that to myself.
He wants to battle for the ball here. Atiki grabs it.
They were holding hands.
Really not sure what the foul is there. I mean, outside of holding hands. The foul came, if it was anything, it was earlier, and it was on Atiki.
So Timmy on the bench, Watson back in, BYU ball. Shot clock is almost expired, and BYU doesn't know it. George got the shot off. It was an air ball. Shot clock violation.
Good defense. They need defense and consistency for Gonzaga. Both teams right now, you're going to go to the huddle and you're going to be talking about, guys, how can we sustain stops? Gonzaga shooting 62%. BYU 55%.
So they'll be talking about that in the huddle when we come back. We're going to talk.
Geez.
We're talking about Farnham Flatbread. I am not joking. It was a great night last night. We'll tell you what Sean did for this Spokane community right after this. If you're a fan in the West Coast Conference, you know about the Farnham Flatbread. When we come here to Spokane, they name the dang thing after Sean. And what my partner has done over these last few years has turned the Farnham Flatbread phenomenon into a fundraiser for Coaches versus Cancer, and a huge turnout last night at the Davenport in downtown Spokane. I mean, hundreds of people.
Not everybody likes the Farnham, though. I mean, you've got a different kind of diet, so I had to make something special for you.
You custom made me a vegan flatbread.
And made sure you didn't spill on your shirt. I'm just a kind partner. How many partners do that for their play-by-play guys?
That would be not another one in the country, not one other one. And it was really good.
Yeah.
So I just would say, on behalf of all of us, and I think everybody in Spokane, are we going to smile for everybody? There we are. Yeah, we do actually like each other. Congratulations. How much money did you raise last night?
The goal was $20,000, and I'm happy to say that we're going to get it.
Yeah.
So we raised over $20,000 serving last night. Thank you so much to the Spokane community that showed up. Thanks for all those that donated online. It was a huge success and a lot of fun, and a great way to take something fun and turn it into a positive and give back.
I mean, $20,000 for one night. That's legit good service by you. The folks at the Davenport are great about it every year. It's just turned into a really cool thing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I was sore after 4 hours of serving.
Yeah, we have a whole new respect for the men and women in the service industry, because you got hammered last night with a lot of orders, a lot of handshaking.
It was fun. Wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, super fun to just sit there and talk hoops with Zags fans. Ben Gregg.
By the way, a lot of Zags fans became LMU fans, even though they weren't LMU fans a couple of weeks ago last night.
Funny how that happened. Nice job by Gregg to rip the ball away. Strother missed one badly off to the side. Yeah, everybody after the charity event was over was talking to us about that LMU game on Thursday night. LMU took down St. Mary's sort of shocking fashion, so now the Zags only one game back in the standings.
And could control their own destiny if they win out to that game against St. Mary's that ends the season here on February 25th.
Waterman air ball. Gideon George put back good.
Right, they need Waterman to hit a shot, though. I mean, just 1 of 23 in the last 7 games now, and he was thought of when they brought him in as a stretch forward that could knock down that perimeter shot and really help open up that offense and keep spacing loose underneath.
Great move by Salas, just didn't finish. And then Salas went for the steal and committed a foul. Gonzaga has at least shared 10 straight regular season WCC titles. So that's the streak that's on the line. And that, when you're talking about controlling your own destiny, that loss by St. Mary's has allowed Gonzaga to do that, at least in terms of grabbing a piece, grabbing a share.
Makes it fun.
It does.
The race is really good here in this conference this year. Now they've got to go to LMU though next week, and Cam Shelton has been on one. If the nation hasn't paid attention, the guard from LMU has scored 67 points, or 61 points, 67 points in his last 2 games.
Yeah, another huge game, but LMU lost at Santa Clara. Traore got swarmed. Salas saved it in bounds. BYU still has it. Williams missed the 3. And then knocked out of bounds by Anton Watson. Both teams fighting hard on the offensive glass.
I think they understand the importance of rebounding, right? I mean, Mark Pope told us that earlier today. Because part of our defense is we've got to be able to rebound the ball and limit Gonzaga to 1 shot, and then allow us to maybe get multiple possessions and force them to have to defend for a longer period of time.
Officials might be talking about a clock scenario. Can I be an analyst for a second? Can I pretend to be you?
Sure.
I think teams this year are more willing to crash the offensive glass against Gonzaga, because Gonzaga hasn't been quite as deadly in just destroying teams in transition, making you pay if you don't get those offensive rebounds.
That's a great point, Dave. Let's go back to the game. Rudy Williams with a little step back and rims out. Rebound by Ben Gregg, and here come the Zags.
Should we go back to our normal jobs?
I think so. I think our bosses would appreciate that.
I'm done being an analyst. That's it. It is, and you get to talk a lot. A push for BYU. I think that's the freshman Richie Saunders who committed the foul. You got to get all the names right.
I know. I did right there.
You did?
I was on it.
Totally.
Interesting note. We talked about that flashback. Part of the flashback that's a little interesting is that the guards really struggled for Gonzaga. Hickman and Bolton combined to go 1 of 12 shooting on the night. And they got to try to get those guys involved in this game.
Strother's been very involved in the first half. Still 9.5 minutes to go. George down the lane. Watson. Yeah, he chopped down and committed the foul.
I really like this game. Just look at the way that he's evolved as a player. And at times I watch him and I go, gosh, I'd like to see him really take over games. And he's been a little bit more consistent this year. Last couple of games, he's been rebounding the ball really well. But he brings a level of athleticism and attack, especially when he's guarded by a four-man, that should be an advantage.
Robinson's got a couple threes already. Nice pass to Williams. Finds Saunders. His three. No. Saunders. Oh, wow. Man, he slammed right into Ben Gregg and hit him in the face. I mean, just going for the ball, but that was a collision.
But it's a mindset for BYU. Hey, look, if I'm a BYU fan, I'm going, you know what? We're trying to get every loose ball you possibly can. Go ahead and try to track it down. Nothing malicious about that. Both players are going for the ball, and there is contact to the head, so the officials will go ahead and take a look at it.
Got him right in the jaw.
But if I'm Mark Pope, I'm telling him, keep going. Keep aggressively going after those rebounds. We have to be the aggressor. You have to be the one that brings the fight to the court. And in the second half against Pepperdine, they were not the aggressive team. That's why they took a road loss.
I think you see the body language in that huddle. That's exactly the message that's being passed along right now. I mean, it was not a dirty play, just a collision.
And whatever the officials call it, I mean, they go, hey, there's contact above the head. And okay, fine. They want to add something to it. Maybe they will. I don't think they should. I think it's an attempted basketball play where there's inadvertent contact that was made, both going for a loose ball rebound. Nobody had possession of it. He's not looking at him to try to initiate contact. He's looking up at the ball. Now, if you're a Gonzaga fan, you're saying, oh, no, we should definitely upgrade that. I mean, that's just the difference of the two fan bases and how they interpret and how they read it. Referees, I think they've made their decision.
Greg Nixon, Michael Irving, Eric Curry. That's our crew tonight. So we're getting the explanation. They are going to upgrade the foul.
They are going to upgrade it, and they said because it was an elbow to the face. So you get the free throws and you get the ball. But again, if I'm Mark Pope, I'm telling my team, I understand. Okay, fine, they upgraded it. We don't care. Let's keep being aggressive. Let's not let off the throttle right now. We fought our way into this game. After a sluggish start, let's go ahead and keep being aggressive. They're winning the battle on the board barely right now. They've evened up the points in the paint, which was an area where Gonzaga got off to a great start.
Both free throws good.
Excellent free throw shooter, by the way. Now Ben Gregg, I mean, look, there's problems on the interior. Timmy and Watson struggle at the free throw line. Ben Gregg does not.
It's about the only flaw for Timmy and Watson. I mean, they're both having such great years, but late in the game, two of Gonzaga's most important players are not good free throw shooters. Can be a bit of an issue. Strother found an opening three. No.
That screen angle from Watson was outstanding, though. I mean, set that angle perfectly and read beautifully by Julian Strother to have that wide open shot.
Robinson, short. Watson rebound. Timmy got the position down low. Traore was reaching that arm right through, so he gets called for the foul. Fus Traore, who's probably been the most consistent player for BYU.
And you love everything about Fus. The way he works at practice, his post shoot around, program that he goes through. It's everything that a player does during the course of the game. That's what he works on. He doesn't waste anything trying to develop something else on game day. It's where am I going to be? How can I be successful in the role that I have for my team?
So Traore goes to the bench. Now, I only have him with 1 personal foul, not 2. Traden Christensen checks in for him. Hickman's going to have to inbound it all the way to the backcourt to Drew Timme. Not much more room than that, but okay. I think he likes dribbling the ball up, don't you?
I do. Every big man wants to be a guard, and every guard wants to be a big. And every rock star wants to be Dave Fleming.
Timme rolls it in. Oh, rock and roll move by Drew Timme.
Does such a good job on that handoff action just to bury you and duck in underneath deep in the paint.
Been a quiet stretch here for BYU offensively. Robinson, Watson steals another one away and then tried to pass it down the court, and the ball kind of slipped out of his hands. So that goes down as a Gonzaga turnover.
A 6-0 run here by the Zags.
Dallin Hall has not played big minutes, the freshman back in.
They're really helping off Aliatiki.
Yeah, he's just not a shooter. George missed the shot. BYU's scoreless stretch continues.
In that last possession, Drew Timme was basically helping everybody else out.
Bolton, his shot didn't go. Gideon George 1-on-4. He's going to take it and miss it. The tip ball, no. Aliatiki underneath the basket, lays it in.
Good hustle by the big man, getting down underneath, gathering that offensive rebound and going up strong with it.
Here goes Timme. There's that patented spin move off the glass. There's nobody who does that better in the game.
Why you're number 2 on the all-time scoring list. Soon to be number 1.
Robinson runner, Timme. Offensive foul. Drew Timme draws the charge.
Well, Drew Timme having himself a half. He's got 10 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists in 10 minutes. He's a playmaker, but one of the greatest playmakers in Gonzaga history and the WNBA. She'll be joining us next. See, I could be a play-by-play guy.
Just do all the promos, all the teases. We'll talk to Courtney Vandersloot right after this. This afternoon, the Gonzaga women, top team again this year in the WCC, played a game, beat Portland, and a really cool moment. Courtney Vandersloot honored before the game, number, jersey, up in the rafters, one of the all-time greats in women's college basketball history. And Courtney is nice enough to join us here. I don't know if you can hear me, Courtney. It's really loud in here. Congratulations. What was it like to look up and see your number up there?
Oh, it's amazing. You know, it was such a special day. And, of course, I'm up there with some real legends. So,
now you're good, or that's too loud for you?
Yeah.
Here, we're going to make sure Courtney is comfortable. How's that? A little better?
I can hear now. Okay. Very good. Yeah, so it was special.
Yeah, you look up there and you see greats. I mean, think about John Stockton, his playmaking ability. You're the first female basketball player to have her number up there. What does that mean to you to be such an iconic player, not just here, but really nationally, and what you were able to do to establish this program on the national level?
Well, first of all, it's so humbling. I just want to be an inspiration because I remember when I was a little girl and I never dreamed of something like this. But, I think I just want to show anyone that this is possible. You don't have to be the biggest, the best at anything, but if you work hard, great things like this can happen to you.
What was it like playing for Coach Graves here?
Oh, it was awesome. Of course, he's hard. He was tough on me, but he pushed me at the right time. it was amazing.
What brought you to Gonzaga?
Sir?
What brought you here in the first place? What
Coach
made you want to come here?
Yeah, Coach Graves. And then, once I stepped into the kennel, you guys see it, you hear it every day. It's like this every single game in it, and I wanted to play at this level in front of great fans like this.
Spencer Johnson with a 3 for BYU. Cougars hanging around the Zags here. Courtney Vandersloot is with us. Number up forever with the all-time greats in the history of this program. Great career at the college level. First player, men's or women's, 2,000 or more points, 1,000 or more assists. Have you got that right?
Yes, you did. I was the first, but now I'm not the only one. So, shout out to Sabrina. She did it after me with 1,000 rebounds. So, and I did it in this arena, so that was really special.
Yeah, speaking about Sabrina, you're now teammates with her.
Yeah.
Super team. This is how we're going. It's the Aces and the Liberty, and the rest of the WNBA now has to catch up. How excited are you to change locations, play in New York, and be a part of this super team?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the opportunity. It's a long move for me, but at the same time, when I saw this, when this was laid out in front of me, I'm like, how can I not take them up on this? It was just such a special roster, and of course, it's so much work to do, and the super team is all being thrown out there, but we got a lot to do from taking the paper to the court, and so, but I think we have the right people. We're going to work hard and hopefully make some special things happen.
When you talk about that collection of talent that's there now in New York, what are some of the keys? Because you'll be a leader, you'll be the person with the ball in her hands a ton. You and Sabrina are going to play together, obviously, and set the table for everybody else. How do you do that with so much talent on that roster?
I think everybody has to sacrifice a little bit, and that's what we talked about the entire time, is like, if we're going to make this all work, we all have to sacrifice and give a little bit up from the individual for the team. And I think everybody is willing to do that, put our own maybe individual accolades to the side to win championships, and that's what you have to do.
One of the big storylines that's been brought up is travel for the WNBA.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts in this call for charter planes? I know New York, the team you're playing for, actually got fined for chartering a couple years back, and it's prohibited by the league.
Yeah.
When will the league? Do you think the league needs to open it up and allow them to be able to do that?
Yeah, I would like to see that. If we're having owners like Joe and Clara that would like for us to travel private, then I think they should be able to. Of course, it doesn't have to be like an all or nothing. There can be something in the middle, but to prohibit it, I think we're kind of taking a step backwards. It would be nice to be able to allow teams to make their own decision at least.
Anton Watson at the free throw line talking to Courtney Vandersloot, and he misses the front end of the one-and-one. Drew Timme, have you followed his career closely? He's climbing all these milestone lists.
I've absolutely loved his time here. He's a true Zag. There's been a lot of special people go through this program, but Timme is obviously at the top of that list.
Spencer Johnson, 3, and he banked it in. That's the second one in this first half.
And we're tied.
Tie game.
BYU, the three-point shot continues to put them in a position to be in this game. I mean, we talk about it so often. It's the equalizer. It was a big reason why they had success in the opening game against Gonzaga.
And it has gotten a little chippy here these last few minutes. Mark wasn't real happy with that last call. So Watson goes back to the free throw line. Mark is generally a coach who does not, and he's pretty calm around the officials. Both these coaches are, actually. Watson got the friendly roll.
So you talk about Timme, and as he's closing on all these records, there's been so many great players that have come through this program. What to you highlights the best of what Drew Timme has brought to the men's program in the last couple of years?
I mean, I think winning, he's a true winner, and he's done it his entire career here. When you have a player that stays 4 years, it's just, the city falls in love with him. Of course, they support all players, but it's just hard when you have somebody like Timme that comes through and commits 4 years, and he wins all the way through. And he just plays the right way. He plays hard. He has kind of a little bit old school game, and he's just easy to root for.
Johnson elevates, came up way short, but another offensive rebound. Here's Hall's 3. That one's no good, and it goes off of Ben Gregg out of bounds, so
All right.
BYU will keep it.
We have limited time here left, but tomorrow, biggest game in college basketball without question. It's LSU, South Carolina, both of them undefeated. Angel Reese, a double-double machine. Aaliyah Boston, Don Staley's team. Who are you rolling with?
It's so hard. It's hard to bet against Don Staley and her South Carolina team, so I'm going to have to go with that.
Yeah. Hottest ticket in the country for college basketball. Tickets going for over $1,000. They were that expensive when she played here.
No kidding. Yeah, great to visit with Courtney Vandersloot. Congratulations. Special day for you. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, guys.
The all-time great women's Zag here in Spokane. 2-point lead for the Zags here on the men's side. Back right after this.
Best start in the women's program history.
LSU and South Carolina, the two undefeated teams.
South Carolina is so much that any opponent has to deal with.
Maybe some bulletin board material for Kim Mulkey and LSU. Vandersloot picking the Gamecocks. South Carolina, LSU tomorrow. Just two of the great players, two of the great teams, both undefeated before the Super Bowl. Game of the year on the women's side, LSU and South Carolina. We'll be watching.
It definitely will be. Angel Reese, the most dominant player in the country. The numbers she puts up game after game after game. That's saying a lot because for the last couple of years, we've been saying Aaliyah Boston has been the most dominant force in women's college basketball. I expect a great atmosphere. I expect a great game between those two teams, and both coaches fiery, ultimate competitors.
BYU ball down 2 under 4 minutes to go first half. Now, a very spirited first half here. Shot clock winding down. Traore's got to know that coming out of the timeout, and he just got the shot off. Was fouled. So with 1 on the shot clock, a foul against the Zags is going to put Fus Traore at the free throw line.
They have the matchup guarding him on the block, and that's a mismatch. I mean, Traore, and we talk about this all the time when we do BYU games, is just really, really good at creating angles. You know, he finds an angle, he finds a seam, and then he's able to turn over his shoulder and use that upper body strength. And pretty good at the free throw line, too. A 76% free throw shooter.
Gets to the line a lot and makes his free throws when he gets there.
Never has had double digits, though, against the Zags. He's come close, but hasn't gotten to 10 points yet. They need him at 10 points at least tonight.
Tie game again, backdoor play, Bolton, and he kind of got hung in the air. Gregg, great effort play, but couldn't quite save it in bounds.
Yeah, I think Rasheer Bolton was anticipating a foul and tried to avoid the foul rather than going straight through. And anytime you attack the basket on a back cut, you should just go straight through the defensive player's arms. Don't try to avoid it. That's how you end up missing your shot, because now you're shooting on the way down rather than following through on the way up.
Bolton had a tough game in Provo.
He's 2 for 5 here tonight.
Hall just going all the way. That ball saved in bounds, and Smith comes away with it. Timmy up top, goes over the top. Gregg with the catch. Gregg missed it. And then a collision, loose ball. Hunter Salas comes away with it. Gregg underneath, and he draws the foul.
I love the way this game's being played by both teams right now. It is feisty. It is 50-50 balls. There's a lot of contact being made. Officials are kind of letting these guys out on the court do their thing.
So Waterman called for the foul. Ben Gregg, 2 more free throws for Ben. Misses the first. Next ACC Big 12 Big Monday doubleheader. This Monday we get you started. Number 19 Miami. Isaiah Wong's a great player. Taking on a North Carolina team that came up with a very important and convincing win today. That's at 7 Eastern. And then Texas Tech after that. We got Texas playing right now.
Currently.
About as well as anybody in the country. If the tournament started tomorrow, which it doesn't, but if it did, Texas on that 2 seed line.
Going to see Carolina down at the 11th. They played their way in today, according to Joe Lenardi. Of course, they have about 10 more games left, so we'll see what they do in those 10.
In and out, good look for Spencer Johnson.
I mean, that's the challenge, right? I mean, but that's if you're Carolina, versus like BYU, Gonzaga right now, they're comfortable, right? They're, as much as people go, it's not quite the season we normally have. You're 20-5. 26th season that you've won 20-plus games. Gonzaga's done their part. North Carolina started the season up there, and they're on the outside of the top 25 right now. We saw Kentucky lose today to Georgia. Mike White, big win for him. But their college basketball has had some wacky scores. And it just continues to be that.
Traore just picked up his second personal, so probably for the final 2:25 of the first half, he'll go to the bench.
Texas Tech knocked off K-State today inside the Big 12. That conference strong in basketball every single year. So much fun watching them play. You think about this Gonzaga team, you go back to the non-conference. Wins over Kentucky, wins over Alabama. A lot of people still think could be the best team in the country.
Went down and played Texas in Austin. That did not go as well for the Zags. No. Atiki missed it. Man, he was basically uncovered after his little move. Got to finish that one. Salas flipped it out of bounds. .16 in the AP, 12 in the net. Maybe part of the crankiness is they haven't had even 5 losses in a year since 2017-2018.
It just kind of speaks to the standard of the bar that's been set. It's when excellence is expected every single year.
Way outside, Robinson misses the 3. Offensive rebound for BYU. Here's Waterman's 3. That one's good.
They needed that, and they get the lead. They just took the lead in this game.
They're going to check at the next stoppage to make sure that was a 3, but I was pretty sure that was a 3.
Waterman doing a good job defensively, 2-on-2 Timmy.
That pass led a little too far, so another Gonzaga turnover.
Paul was switched off on him on that time, and what they're doing really well in the last 2 possessions is they're initiating contact with Drew Timme higher up in the middle portion of the paint. They're not allowing him to duck in below that WCC logo and then bury you underneath the hoop where it's a simple catch and finish. Instead, they're forcing him to try to catch the ball at the logo. They're closing and tightening up that space. Good ball pressure leads to turnovers.
You would never know this is a BYU team that lost at Pepperdine on Thursday night. Playing way better than that here tonight. Now a whistle. They're going to call Atiki for a foul. Fighting for post position.
I don't think Coach Pope liked that one too much. He just bent over and clasped his hands. That's a tough call to have away from the ball.
That'll be his second personal, so now Traden Christensen's going to come in.
You see the fight underneath, and he does extend his arm back out against Drew Timme. I'm sure what Mark Pope's going to say, though, is okay, can we get that same call down here at this end?
Can BYU survive these last few seconds of the first half without their top 2 big men on the floor? Salas to Timme. Timme spun and Hall came and stripped it away. Really good help defense by Dallin Hall.
That's scouting report defense. And they went over that over and over again today. It's their walkthrough of being aggressive and looking to get that deflection and knowing that Timme wants to turn. Can you be there on the turn and have your hands ready?
Watson's looking for a steal here. I think he can sort of sense it coming. Shot clock all the way down to 5. Waterman, another 3, and it's good. So Noah Waterman, maybe a little confidence for him.
Mark Pope said he's been really rooting for this young man, and we mentioned earlier in the game how he has struggled from beyond the arc, but now he's knocked down a pair. And that bounce and that look at him, this is what he's done. That's who he is.
Zags holding for the final shot, no good. Johnson rebound, and BYU's going to get a look at the buzzer. It's no good. And the 2 teams will go to the locker room. BYU, great finish to the first half. They got a 4-point lead.
And it's stepping up from guys that you need to have step up. I mean, Johnson's been really consistent throughout the first half, but Noah Waterman with 7 points really has struggled as of late on the season, averaging under 5 points per game. They're 7 of 16 from beyond the arc. Remember, they hit 13 threes in the game in Provo. They're on pace to beat that today. They might need that additional 3.
So BYU, you got to give them credit, hanging in against Gonzaga and with a 4-point lead going into the locker room at halftime. We'll take a break here in Spokane. When we come back to the studio with our ESPN halftime report. Here we go. Cougars up by 3. Traore, great pass from Hall, and a brilliant play out of the locker room at halftime.
A little on-ball screen, and Drew Timme was kind of caught in no man's land. They just threw it right over the top of his head.
Watson got fouled by George. That's a tough matchup for Gideon George trying to play post defense.
What you've got to do is initiate that contact earlier. Remember, we talked about Waterman did a good job of it. Hall did a good job actually on Drew Timme. Initiating that contact. If you keep running up and running back and giving up real estate, they're going to bury you underneath the hoop with the duck in.
That's George's 3rd personal foul. That's a big story for BYU. Watson gets the pass from Strother and lays it in.
2 really good plays and possessions on both ends of the floor offensively.
Working his way in against Bolton. Hall, for a freshman, he's got size and strength. That was good defense, though. Bolton almost just dribbled it away. This time Robinson, the guy defending Watson. Watson goes all the way in, missed the layup. His tip, no good. BYU comes away with the ball. Down low, wants to take Timme one-on-one. Traore elevates, scores.
He ends every shoot around working on getting the ball and working his way into that spot on the floor. And he's just so patient, so poised. They said he could be an academic All-American as well. May not get it this year, but he's definitely going to be in consideration.
Strother, runner, good.
He's getting so good at that. I mean, time and time again, he may not be shooting it as well from 3 as of late, but he turns that corner and gets his shoulder squared on that little floater. It's automatic.
Gideon George against Bolton. George down the lane, had it stripped away. Nolan Hickman goes down the lane. Layup good.
Guards need to get involved in this game for Gonzaga. You don't have to just shoot jump shots. You can penetrate and drive from the outside, force that defense to collapse. If they don't, you've got a seam and you can finish.
I mean, it's a good point. Hickman's got 4 now. Bolton's got 4. Hall, good cut, but got cut off by Strother. Here's a George 3. That one too strong. Salas hasn't scored. Smith hasn't scored for Gonzaga. Now Timme posting up. They're going to call Traore for a foul. And that's Fus Traore's 3rd personal.
Well, fouls were the one area that I think in the first half, if you're Mark Pope, you're a little concerned about. You had 11 personal fouls called in the first half. You've now got multiple players with 3. Gideon George has 3. Fus Traore has 3. A couple guys with 2. So you're going to have to manage your bench and be smart.
BYU up 3 at half. Now the lead is 1. Zags have the ball. And another foul. So BYU already piling up the fouls here. That'll be their 4th team foul in the first 2.5 minutes.
We saw this story unfold the other night against San Francisco early in that game. Of course, Burleson, the head coach of San Francisco, said, hey, we don't want to get him to the free throw line. And I think if you're Mark Pope, you don't want to give up 3 points at the free throw line at any point in time in this game. They got to manage their fouls, and they got to be able to move their feet without reaching.
All right, just their 3rd team foul. I don't want to exaggerate. Still, Bolton pulls up 3, too strong. Atiki had it taken away by Anton Watson, just ripped it away.
I mean, we talk about it when we do St. Mary's games. Kyle Bowen wins games without even really having to score. I mean, just makes those hustle plays, those effort plays. And why do we talk about the great defense of Anton Watson? Watch how smart he is, just rips it right away. You keep the ball away from your body. He's got such a knack of getting his hand in there and getting the ball and creating extra possessions for his team.
Mark Few told us today he's had that knack since he was a kid in high school. They saw it when they recruited him. That free throw no good. Now the score is 41-40 still BYU. On our score bug, we've put the Zags back ahead. Okay, 41-40. Now we got it. Score's an important thing to get right.
Especially if you're at an establishment right now and you can't hear us. You're looking up going, wait, how did they get 2 more points?
And it does happen. We got lots of fans who are watching a place where maybe the volume's not on. The rest of America says, man, how do we get that? Johnson behind the back dribbling. Hickman all over him. Johnson almost dribbled it out of bounds. Shot clock winding down. Tough step back. Good. What a shot.
Good shot, difficult shot. I'd prefer to see the ball movement we saw in the first half, though. I mean, they've got to force Gonzaga to defend multiple sides.
There goes Watson, and he'll go back to the free throw line where he has struggled, but he's drawn a lot of fouls, and if that one's against Atiki, that's going to be number 4.
And Mark Hope has got to be very careful to not get a technical. He is fired up right now. And he is making sure that he is staying in the box. He was already warned.
So that's 5 team fouls now against BYU. Zags have not committed one in the first 3.5 minutes of the half.
And Mark Pope's fighting for his team right now.
Yeah.
You know, and you're looking at the scoreboard and you're seeing 5-0. And we're not even 4 minutes. Wow.
Anton Watson's got a little thing right now at the line.
It was like me on the 6th hole and 16th hole with you last week when we were playing golf.
Just a little mental block. It happens, but
the Yips aren't good at the free throw line.
No. He's 2 of 6 now at the line.
But you got to remember, Mark Pope has won pretty much everywhere he's ever gone, right? And he's got this program and a young team, and he's looking for them to show some grit, especially after the way they played in the second half in Malibu.
And your big men are on the bench with foul troubles. You got Traden Christian in there, and he can't get the rebound on the missed free throw. Now Gonzaga throws it out of bounds. So BYU got away with one, but you're asking a lot of that young man, Traden Christensen, to be a rebounder against Timmy and Watson and Strother.
And here's the thing, with the size out, anytime those two catch the ball, you're I double right away right now because Gonzaga has not hurt you from beyond the arc, right? It forced them to have to knock down some shots. What you don't want to do is allow them to score down low in the paint.
Yeah, Mark's got to be real careful. Michael Irving, one of the officials, blew the whistle, and Mark had a very sarcastic cheer, almost walking out on the court. First foul against the Zags.
Now, what can you do with a smaller lineup at this end of the floor? Well, you lift, you elevate, don't really post up, go 5 out. That's a foul.
Yeah, Watson went for the steal, then got called for the personal once he didn't get it. What you don't want to have happen is for this to turn into a whistle fest. A little double screen. Christensen with the catch, and he got fouled. Couldn't finish.
3 fouls on this possession alone now against the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
And that'll send us to our first timeout of the second half. BYU continuing to lead. When we come back, Sean, what are you doing here?
Pickleball. It's the national craze.
Learning the game from one of the great coaches in the sport. That's next.
Dog right now for maybe the next 5 to 10 minutes as we try to do some pickleball here. Mark Few's going to coach me up like I'm Drew Timme, like I'm Anton Watson, like I'm all these guys. He's going to make me a legend before we're out of here.
But you can't walk in there to get the ball out of the air. So that's why when you and I are on the other side, like you're over there right now, okay, ball into the kitchen. That's called the kitchen. That one's out of the kitchen. But if you are to get it up, then the guy smashes it like that. Okay, that's about it. So there's the serve. Now they got to wait. Now it's game on. Now you want to get up to the net if you can. Yeah, there you go.
Book it! So on a scale of 1 to 10 as a beginner, honest assessment.
I would say you're definitely on the higher end of a beginner by far.
All right.
The hand-eye stuff will serve you well.
All right, there we go.
And you're already breathing hard, so this is a lot better than a stationary bike or right?
It is good.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Few, world-renowned coach in college basketball as well as pickleball.
All right, look, Mark Few's going to be in the Hall of Fame soon. He's one of the great coaches in the history of this sport, truly. I feel like sometimes we don't get to know him. The general public doesn't get to know him, at least.
He's an elite-level pickleball player.
He's a great pickleball player. He's just a terrific guy. We love being around him, and so I'm glad you did that with him.
That winning percentage, by the way, in pickleball, almost better than his winning percentage as a head coach.
Wow.
That's how elite he is. And the staff here, that court, by the way, is up permanently inside the practice facility. And a lot of the staff members, guys behind the scene, like Barrett Henderson, who's one of the best sports information directors in the country, he plays with a couple of the other guys, and they do it every day. It's fun. It's taking over the nation. The Professional Pickleball Association and ESPN just partnered up.
Now we know why you did that segment.
And now that I know the rules, I can call those games too, those matches.
It's a whole new avenue for you.
Extra revenue stream. That's all I'm looking for.
He's not thinking about pickleball right now. His team is struggling. That shot comes up short. BYU ball up 4. Hall, nice look. Robinson, shot fake, 3, in and out. That's a big miss. And now a foul called against BYU.
And Noah Waterman just got to be smart there. Just get back. Your interior is banged up with foul trouble already. You don't have the rebound. Call no glory. Get back to the other end of the court and wall up defensively.
It's a great look for Jackson Robinson, who's made 2 threes already today.
BYU needs to continue to force Gonzaga to take shots out over the top. They cannot let him get that deep.
Strother all the way. Nice tough move from Julian Strother.
Previous couple possessions, they took away the interior and let them kind of get those shots from out over the top with late contests.
And it's definitely hurting BYU right now, the foul trouble with the big men. Hall had it stripped away by Hickman. Hickman one-on-one. Nolan Hickman right into the defense. No whistle. Spencer Johnson. Shot swatted by Strother. What a block. Strother, pull-up 3. Short. Bolton high for the rebound, out of bounds and off of BYU.
Just great end-to-end hustle at the defensive end. Guys challenging at the cup. The key for BYU with their foul trouble that they're in, they have to keep their level of aggressiveness up. They have to understand that the level of aggressiveness in which they've played is the reason why they've been in the lead here. So even with the foul trouble, you've got to have the confidence that you can play aggressively without fouling.
George, who's got 3, Gideon George back in.
Got to bring the help.
Have to. Timmy, help did come. He finds Greg, though, cutting to the basket for the layup.
Noah Waterman just lost his man. He was watching the ball, and Greg with a great back cut.
And that's the 6th assist for Drew Timmy. Here's a 3, Rudy Williams. That one goes down, so the game untied. BYU back ahead. Turn it into a heck of a game here tonight in Spokane. Timmy posting up against Christensen. Hickman, no good. Kind of got knocked off balance. Here goes Johnson all the way, and he is fouled.
Some really good offensive possession. Watch the cut. Noah Waterman extends away, and he just gets back cut. I mean, a great read of pressure, and no reason really to extend out your pressure on that one. And then beautiful ball movement. Salas gets sucked in a little bit on the roll-up coming off that screen, and that leaves Rudy Williams wide open. That was Williams' first shot made of the game. He was 0 for 3 prior to that one.
He can be an explosive scorer. So can this guy, Spencer Johnson. Perfect on the first of 2 free throws.
He's been their most explosive scorer so far. 14 points for him on the game. Ultra efficient. The one thing that impresses me is just his understanding of who he is. He never tries to extend outside of his own abilities. Takes good quality shots, gives you great effort at both ends of the floor. Solid, doesn't try to do too much with the ball when he puts it down.
And he makes both free throws, put BYU up by 5. Mark Pope, you can see him just trying to buy minutes. Now it's Richie Saunders in for Waterman. Just trying to figure something out with his depth to get through some severe foul trouble.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Timme is getting fouled every single second he's coming down the floor on that possession. They could have called that 15 times. Yeah, Christensen didn't have any opportunity to try to defend there. I mean, you just look at the contact underneath. I mean, this is a wrestling match. And they just reaching around underneath through the arms. Now, again, if you're Christensen, is that a bad foul? Maybe not, because Drew Timme has struggled at the free throw line. He's 0 for 1 here today.
Front end of the 1-and-1 for Timme. Earns the second. I mean, BYU is going to have to play against Gonzaga for the final 13 and a half minutes with the Zags in the bonus. Timme's drawn 5 fouls in the game. Made them both.
Both look really nice. I mean, Dave, you've mentioned it. He's worked on it really, really hard. It just has not shown up in his percentages.
Gideon George attacks against Timme. Turnaround. That one no good. And the rebound for the Zags. Looking to push. Timmy's got George on him. Spin move. Timme, good with a foul.
The Zags, you know, in a moment that you're trailing, you need production, you need aggressiveness. You look at number 2, because that's what he's done his entire career. And he's as good as anybody in the country as far as his position and his skill set to catch it at the top of the key. And when he gets you leaning, he's going to roll and spin off you. It doesn't matter which direction. He's good enough to do it either way.
And the foul was against Gideon George, so that's number 4 for him. He goes right back to the bench. Traore comes back in. Waterman back in. Chance for the three-point play for Timme. Got it. Tie game.
Mark Few's going to give him a quick break. Under 12 media timeout coming up. He's going to get a minute right here, and he's trying to get the fans into this game, get this environment rocking. He's only lost 1 game on his home floor in conference play in his entire career. He doesn't want to see it make it 2. BYU, though, is going to try to weather all this foul trouble and continue to execute offensively.
In a way, for BYU, almost trying to survive till the late game. Have a shot. Waterman. That is a foul. Wow. They called him for the offensive foul. So that's a turnover.
On the drive, as you watch him extend out his elbow away from his body, takes it off the ball and pushes off. I think otherwise there would have been a foul called on Gonzaga. He just got up for the shot.
20th team foul already against BYU in this game.
That is tough to overcome, partner.
It is. Here's a 3-look Strother, no. And BYU might have an advantage here. Johnson, nice pass, Waterman, scores with a foul. Went right into Anton Watson. That was a pretty good move.
Great move, but a great decision by Johnson. In the open floor, reading the defense, seeing where his trail man was, making sure that Anton Watson was so deep underneath the basket that he would have to step into Waterman as he went into that shot.
This is the best that Waterman's played in a long time. That was a quick break for Timme. They couldn't even get to the under 12. Watson's got 3 fouls, so he goes out. BYU is going to get Traore. I think similar scenario here. Mark Pope's just literally trying to buy chunks of seconds to navigate the foul trouble. Free throw good. 3-point play for Noah Waterman. Smith down the lane. Smith came up way short. Timme offensive rebound, but they're going to call a foul against Gonzaga. And that one's against Timmy.
As Drew Timmy came in, I think he extended out away from his body. A little bit of a shove. This game has been physical. There's lots of fouls, but it has been close. So the finish is probably going to be great.
Terrific game here in Spokane tonight. BYU, final visit to the Kennel as a member of the West Coast Conference. They've won here 3 times since they joined the league, 52-49. Mark Pope's team, a big underdog coming in, playing very hard. With 12 minutes to go, despite all their foul trouble, they have a 3-point lead.
One of the keys, they have not gotten an offensive rebound so far here in the second half. They had 8 offensive rebounds in the first half that led to 10 second chance points. BYU, they've got to be able to stay aggressive, get those extra possessions, and try to steal this game, even through the foul trouble.
Yeah, and I think that last point you make is an important one. It's hard to do when you're in such severe foul trouble with so many of your big men. But you're right, it's why they led at halftime. Jackson Robinson, Traore, that was a nice play by Timmy to go over the top and tip it. Now, we might get a changed call. They're going to say Traore touched it last. That's Gonzaga basketball.
We'll see some offense-defensive substitutions by Mark Pope when he can. Christensen comes right back in. Foose comes out.
Well, Mark Pope does have one. We've seen him coach this way a lot in the past. He's almost got an NBA kind of mentality as a head coach. If a guy's hot, he's going to isolate and find ways to feed the ball to whoever's working. Strother, another one of those runners.
He gets to that logo area. That's where he has been able to consistently knock that shot down. You got to try to make sure you wall up and show on that on-ball screen. Don't let him turn that corner.
Strother's got 13 now. Gonzaga down just 1. Rudy Williams. Smith guarding Spencer Johnson. Johnson, no. Rebound, Ben Gregg. Zags have a chance to go back ahead. Strother almost traveled.
Drew Timmy wanted that ball and they missed it. Waterman working hard down low without fouling.
Strother stopped and no good. Strother hit the deck. Waterman took a shot to his face, and they'll stop play to make sure Waterman's all right. That's an advantage for BYU because we're just talking about Mark Pope playing some offense-defense that gets Traore back in the game for an offensive possession. And I think they're going to take a look and make sure. They called a flagrant one against BYU in the first half.
Yeah, his off arm extends away and gets into the face. I would not be surprised if we saw the same call that we saw earlier and have this upgraded in free throws going the way of BYU.
Yeah.
I mean, that is his off arm right to the face.
I mean, it's a similar kind of play. It was Richie Saunders for BYU in the first half where it's not a dirty play, but if you extend that arm and make contact up in the head, face, most of the time I think that's going to be called.
Waterman did a nice job working around Drew Timmy there, and you see him going straight up and walling up. And then the extension of the offhand, the left hand of Julian Strother, J Straw as they call him, made contact.
Well, we've seen what they're looking at, and now it's just up to them to make the decision.
I mean, if they adjudicate it the way they did in the first half, that should be a flagrant one. Long discussion here, though.
And look, these officials do know the context also. Close game, tight game, very physical game. Lots of whistles.
Should not determine whether or not that should be called the same way that it was in the first half. We'll find out. And they did. They kept it solid as they did in the first half. That'll be a flagrant one.
And my point wasn't that the call should be made differently, only that, hey, it's hard to blame officials in a game like this with so much intensity for taking their time to make sure they talk through it and get it right. And Greg Nixon is explaining why they called it that. Waterman, meanwhile, makes the first of 2 free throws.
At double digits for Waterman.
3rd foul against Strother.
He's more than doubled his average on the season. And this is the Noah Waterman that I think a lot of people at BYU thought they were getting. A player that could really stretch the ball, could score at all 3 levels. He has played very well here today. He had 0 points in 12 minutes against the Zags in the first meeting. He's got 12 points here in 13 minutes.
2 points at the free throw line and the ball for BYU. This could be a huge possession. Timmy helped out on Robinson right there on the catch. Traore, double team came to him. Shot clock winding down. Robinson, tough contested shot, good on the baseline.
That was good defense, but a tougher shot and a great shot made by Robinson.
BYU back up 5.
This has been the largest lead of the game for BYU. They've been here a couple of times.
Now Robinson's going to be called for a foul after the great move he made on the other end.
Watch this little rock of Drew Timme, a little space on the step back. Timme with a pretty good closeout. That's just better offense than defense right there.
So bonus for the Zags. Free throws coming for Julian Strother. He's tied with Drew Timme, 15 points apiece. And it's double bonus, of course, now for the last 10 minutes of the game.
And that's why if you're Gonzaga, you have a little bit more freedom here because you're not in the foul trouble that BYU is. You know they are, so that might take away a little bit of aggressiveness. When you're less aggressive at the defensive end, you become a little bit more passive, which means you give up space. So if you can take space as an offensive player, you can actually end up getting more fouls and getting to the free throw line.
Traore passed out of the double team. Here's Rudy Williams down the lane, switch to the left hand.
They got the switch that they wanted, and tough matchup for Greg trying to stop Rudy Williams.
Zags hustled into the front court. Now Timme with that post position. Timme scores.
We talk so much about analytics and three-point shots. One thing Zags do, they look high, low, entry pass a ton, and it's gone to Drew Timme more than any player maybe in program history.
Traore, tough catch, and he lays it in with a foul. Strother's going to be called for another personal, and that, I think, is going to be his 4th.
Big bucket here and an answer, the roll, a great pass over the top. Man, look at how deep that catch is, and Strother just starts flailing his arms. And Fouge Traore, that's not going to bother him at all.
Free throw good. Now it's a 6-point lead for BYU. What an opportunity for the Cougars here tonight.
They have played so well. I mean, so much better than the second half of that game that we watched after our game from Malibu.
How is it the same team? It's kind of hard to believe.
A lot of it's just effort, right? I mean, a lot of it's just that want to.
Watson goes all the way for the lay-in.
They've struggled against some athletic guards, and that's where I think, you know, if you're Gonzaga and you can try to get downhill, take a little bit of that page that Pepperdine had. I mean, obviously Porter went off the other night, but their speed of their guards and the aggressive nature in which they attacked really caused BYU issues.
And Rudy Williams can hit tough shots. Another one in traffic.
His speed is causing issues for Gonzaga on back-to-back possessions. He's gotten exactly where he wants to.
And a whistle. Timeout, Gonzaga. Drew Timme's like, what are you blowing the whistle for? But it was a timeout from his head coach.
Defensive consistency, that's been one of the areas that Mark Few has wanted to challenge his team. Right now, they've got to find some answers. The Cougars are shooting 60% here in the second half. Dave, what happens when you make 7 3-pointers in the first half? Coach says, hey, we can't let them get comfortable from beyond the arc anymore. What does that do? It opens up seams. It opens up lanes. You start defending the three-point line. It exposes the interior of your defense. And BYU had 12 points in the first half in the paint. They have 12 already here in the second half, and we've got almost 9 minutes left to go. And they've done a great job of attacking from the perimeter, rolling off the screens, catching the ball down low underneath, and then finishing with great efficiency. That's why they're shooting 60% here in the second half.
They've scored on 5 straight possessions on offense. They're 4 for the last 4 shooting the ball. Gideon George back in with his 4 fouls. Zags out of the timeout, have the ball, but really being challenged here at home. Another Timmy spin move, and then he missed the shot. The tap back to Smith. 3, good! Big shot for Malachi Smith.
First 3 of the second half for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. They were 0 for 4. Prior to that one, a great opportunity because it's going to be wide open on the tap out.
Being dominated in bench scoring tonight. That's 3 off the bench for the Zags. Christensen, figure he's not really made to go one-on-one on the low block. Shot clock winding down. Waterman cut off. Williams shoots. That one no good. Rebound to Gonzaga.
I think this is where they need to score a little bit more. I think Gonzaga needs to put a little bit more pressure in transition on makes or misses. Gonzaga can look to space the open floor and score and attack and get downhill and maybe draw some more fouls, but you have your guard shoot free throws.
Timeout here in Spokane. 3-point lead for BYU. Well, as they always are, they're here in big numbers, tons of energy. But right now, I think for these Gonzaga students, the band, a little nervous energy in the kennel tonight.
Well, I mean, just because, you know, this has been a season where you've seen them already lose on their home floor with LMU. But by the way, became the first program since BYU joined to beat Gonzaga, BYU, and St. Mary's in the same season.
Nobody had ever done it.
Stan Johnson has now.
That's a pretty good feather in LMU's cap. Mark Pope's team trying for a huge win. Timmy at the free throw line. And he makes that one. He's 4 of 5 now at the line.
He has been solid at the free throw line, and solid is really good for him.
Top 5 in the nation in free throws attempted. I mean, he gets there so much.
Very relaxed. He takes that little extra breath today, and you just see in his shoulders, there's no tension. Once he starts his motion, it was very fluid on the last couple of free throws he's attempted.
Lead down to 1, 63-62, and Bolton went for the steal. Johnson, stolen by Smith. Malachi Smith, layup good. Zags back ahead. Last lead was 34-32 back in the first half.
Well, they had Foos Traore. They both went to the ball with Waterman, but he didn't look back. That counter action was there.
Zags up on the defensive pressure. Rudy Williams 3, way off the mark. Offensive rebound put back, no! Gideon George just blew the layup, and then Gonzaga, a gift, threw the ball out of bounds. Man, I don't know what happened to Gideon George. He was all alone for a layup.
There's not a person sitting down really in this facility right now. I mean, everybody is pretty much up on their feet. A good 85% of them. This is fun. This is college basketball. And this year in particular, we've seen games like this, Dave, across the country. The margin's very thin.
Even for the very best teams. Robinson harassed, picked up his dribble.
Great defense by Malachi Smith. They've challenged him on that.
Shot clock's down to 3. Down to 2. Robinson heave off iron. George goes for the offensive rebound, didn't get it. And then Watson was fouled by Hall. So Anton Watson's going to go to the free throw line.
And Hall, yeah, I think he got the wind knocked out of him a little bit. He's still down. But Malachi Smith on that possession defensively was the Malachi Smith that Mark Few wanted to see, especially coming out of that game against St. Mary's, where he thought he did not perform to the best of his ability defensively. And he locked in with incredible effort that time on Robinson and forced a very difficult shot.
So now Watson is just 2 of 7 at the free throw line tonight. He gets 2 here. Made the first. That looked better.
Big start making free throws. It'll really help out Gonzaga. This is so much fun, man. This building, this rivalry between these two teams. We talk about the Rock, their student section. In Provo, you and I have been there so many times for these matchups that always have lived up to it.
Just so many great games, great finishes. We're headed for another one here tonight. Zags have amped it up on defense.
They're really switching everything out on the perimeter right now.
Johnson just was really patient, finally found an opening, and that's a big basket for BYU.
He squares his shoulders, he squares his feet, so even when it looks like he's fading back, he's really not. He does just an excellent job of having his base underneath him on those shots.
Owen Hickman trying to feed Timmy. Timmy back to Hickman, baseline jumper, good.
Drew Timmy's been the facilitator tonight. He's got 7 of the 13 assists.
Wow.
For the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
7 is a lot of assists for a big man. Traore with contact, no whistle, but scores. And BYU calls the timeout after the made basket. So a quick timeout for us. BYU hanging around the Zags and more, looking for a big upset. 68-67 Zags. 5:23 to go. These two teams played a month ago in Provo, and it went right down to the buzzer. This game, a 1-point lead for the Zags, 68-67. Gonzaga trying to stay 1 game behind St. Mary's in this league. BYU trying to turn things around after a horrible loss on Thursday. They have played so much better here tonight.
Now, remember, when you look at the standings in the West Coast Conference, St. Mary's on top, Gonzaga sitting at second. A loss here for Gonzaga puts them back to being 2 games behind with a very short schedule still remaining. But I think even more importantly for BYU, you're trying to avoid having to play early in that tournament.
How about Traore just stole it right from Hickman and goes all the way for the dunk. BYU back ahead.
That was a very Anton Watson-like play. I mean, just a great read by Fous Traore.
He's held the line at 3 fouls. The foul trouble for BYU has been such a big part of the story.
Well, with 3 fouls, now you can play free. You got 5 minutes left in the game. You got to play with confidence and you got to play with toughness.
Watson against Atiki. Couldn't get him to leave his feet. Watson finds Smith. That one is no good. Rebound. Who's going to get it? BYU comes away with the ball. Bodies flying everywhere. Traore down low. Great catch. He'll go up with the left hand. What a move for the big man.
Man, he wanted that ball. He was calling for it as Hall was dribbling up the floor. He knew he had the position. A great pass by the freshman. And then the great finish by Fous.
Wow, is he playing well tonight or what?
You kind of get that look in your eyes, and there's players that say, hey, just give me the ball. And look at the pin on the high side, defensive rotation late. Extending with the left and the finish, a little finesse from the big man.
We have had so many great games in the West Coast Conference this year. We got another one tonight, 71-68. BYU, and they're still young big man Fous Traore trying to come up with a monster win on the road.
18 second half points in the paint by BYU. So many of them have come off the fingertips of number 45. And what he's so good at is gathering, having his feet set underneath him. Obviously this one, an easy one out off the steal, but he pins and seals and uses his upper body strength to make sure that he has the angle that he wants. 7 of 10 shooting, 17 points for Fous.
he was 0 for his first 3. He's made 7 field goals in a row. He's making defensive plays. In BYU, they withstood a blitz there from the Zags. Gonzaga grabbed the lead back, and now BYU's back up by 3.
BYU only -2 in points in the paint on the game. That is huge.
Yeah, Johnson got knocked to the ground, so for the moment, 5 on 4. Johnson got back up. Strother, quick release. 3 is good. Flashbacks for BYU fans. Big 3 from Strother. Over the top, Traore, the entry pass. Atiki lays it in.
And they got the mismatch. Bolton was on Atiki underneath, and just great job. Again, target, throw it only where he can catch it, and went up and got it.
It's one of the highest entry passes I've ever seen. It worked. Strother trying to get by Johnson. Johnson's a good defensive player. Late shot clock. Strother, long 3. Good! With a smile on his face.
Well, he got himself into rhythm with the jab step.
He's got 23. 2 massive threes here in the last couple minutes. Robinson for the answer. No. Atiki, offensive rebound. Falling down. He tried to hit a teammate, and he threw it out of bounds.
Now Julian Strother, watch the rhythm. He gets in a rhythm with a couple of jab steps, rocks it just ever so slightly, and that thing rattled every way around, but almost went out. Big smile on his face going back down the other end of the floor. 4 of 9 from beyond the arc for Julian Strother.
And Gonzaga as a team has only made 5 threes. Julian Strother's made 4 of them. He leads the Zags. He leads everybody in this game with 23 points. Under 3 to go. Gonzaga ball up 1. Strother found Hickman, his 3. That one no good. Long rebound. Watson saves it in bounds. What a play by Watson. Bolton catch and shoot. Good!
What a find by Strother.
Four-point lead for the Zags. And now a foul against Gonzaga. This is their biggest lead of the whole game after this sequence.
Watch this, great effort by Anton Watson. The throw out, you got maybe open at the top, no, go diagonal over, great relocation, feet set underneath him. Rasir Bolton with a big time 3.
Man, that was high degree of difficulty all the way around. Now you got Atiki Atiki, front end of a 1-and-1. Huge free throws for BYU. And a friendly roll for Atiki to earn the second.
Always worth noting the free throw routine that BYU does at the end of every shoot around. They ask for dead silence, and they want you to just get in your comfortable spot at the free throw line as that one banks in. That's a big moment for a big man to step to the free throw line and knock down a pair.
And even if it's not pretty, they both went down. Those are 2 big points. Zags still lead, though, with the ball, and now under 2 minutes to go. Timmy sets the screen. Hickman finds Timmy. Double team came. Here's Bolton. Pull up. Too strong. Rebound. Tap back to Hickman.
Anton Watson, his activity without the ball in his hands. Such an important player for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. I don't care how many points he has tonight. He's got 12, but he's played a lot bigger than just 12 points.
Hickman, great pass. Watson had it knocked out of bounds. No foul. 6 to shoot for Gonzaga. And now BYU Gonzaga fans unhappy with the call. BYU trying to make sure everybody knows what the shot clock reads. The officials are talking about the timing.
Now the fans here are cheering because they think they're going to go over there and they're going to adjudicate a foul. They're not.
They're not going to do that.
You can't. But what they could do is look at and see if the ball went out of bounds on Anton Watson and gained the possession. That's why Mark Pope yelled, because he's the one that asked for this. Like, people here are like, oh yeah, they're going to go, maybe give us the foul. They're not going to give you the foul.
So they confirmed that the call was correct. It'll be Gonzaga ball. Well, this is a huge 6 seconds in this game.
Here's what they're looking at here, the dump down, and they wanted to see. They thought Mark Pope's assistant coaching staff thought that might have gone off of Anton Watson, so they were trying to steal the possession.
Offensive rebounds in the last 2 minutes for the Zags have been big. Timmy makes his move. Timmy, no. And the ball out of bounds. That one, I believe, was off of Bolton. It'll be BYU ball.
Big stop for BYU.
Big. That's a pretty good spot for Drew Timmy. Just missed the shot. So now the Cougars could tie or take the lead. They have not hit a three in a while. It was all threes in the first half. Hall, the freshman down the lane. Hall, high off the backboard, missed it. 1 minute to go.
You and me, tight game, WCC.
So what has happened all year long. BYU trying to turn the tables. Shot clock down to 10. Screened by Timmy. Strother, they left him open. His three, they called a foul. And I think Strother, now you got to give him credit. I do believe he helped sell that call. He's going to shoot 3 big free throws.
Watch on the release. No, you know, I mean, Robinson, you got to be smart. You're closing out and you're closing into the shooter if you don't allow the shooter to land.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it wasn't a foul, but I think Julian was smart. Take that contact, hit the deck. Make him blow the whistle. Second of 3, good. He's got 25 to lead everybody. And now BYU is going to call a timeout.
Love the timeout by Mark Pope here. You got to play with pace and you got to play fast, regardless on the make or the miss here. It's a 2-possession game. I really like getting Cruz Traore involved and having him dive. The key is when he comes and sets that screen and then slips, whoever's coming up and getting the ball from him has got to look back to the counter. If you look to go and reverse it, they're loading up on that side. The free spot is coming right back and pivoting towards him and trying to dump it down.
All right, so that's a little look ahead. A look back at what's happened tonight. Julian Strother hit the massive shot in Provo a month ago, and he has just had a huge night.
Well, he's done a little bit of everything. I mean, just his ability to score, and this, when he gets going, he's as hot as anybody. I mean, only 4 players on a Mark II have ever scored 40. He's one of them. An elite company there with Wilcher, Morrison, Turioff. I mean, some good company for him to be around. He only got 40 tonight, but he has been the spark, in particular down the stretch. When BYU had the lead, a couple of threes, back-to-back threes, gave Gonzaga back the lead, and they haven't let it back yet.
I think if the Zags survive here and win this game, those 2 threes you were just talking about, I think those are the ones that will get circled. And those were monster shots, and then these 3 free throws. He's got 1 more coming. 25 points, 5 rebounds, a couple of assists. Has not turned it over tonight. Looking for a 5-point lead with 37 seconds to go. And he made them all.
Let's see if they get Bruce involved at all here.
Johnson 3, short, and it'll go out of bounds. It wasn't deflected. It's Gonzaga ball. Talked about the foul trouble early in the half. It's really paid off for the Zags as the half has gone on. Gonzaga's made 12 straight free throws. Pressure for BYU. Strawther the inbounder. Bolton got trapped, and they call a foul. So Gideon George reaches in. That'll be his 5th. George is disqualified from the rest of the game. Just never could get into a flow. 4 points, 2 of 7 shooting. Only played 19 minutes.
Rudy Williams will check in for him. Rudy, I thought, has given some really good minutes here in the second half. Surprised, actually, he wasn't on the floor more.
Me too.
Down the stretch.
Me too. He's only played 14 minutes total in the game, Williams, and he has not committed a foul. Bolton makes another free throw. That's 13 made free throws in a row for the Zags.
That's how you close out games at home. You make free throws.
And it's been everybody. Watson, Timmy, Bolton, Strawther. Made them both.
Now for Gonzaga, you just don't want to foul. You want to make sure you position. If you can force a couple passes, great.
Williams goes all the way, and they almost did foul him. Layup is good. BYU, I don't think he was signaling timeout. I think he was just making a defensive signal. Michael Irving said timeout because he thought that Mark Pope was signaling for a timeout, but
either way, that's great coaching by Mark Pope. I mean, just the official inaccurately blows the whistle. Now it's basically a dead ball. Set up your press.
So you can go for a steal, but if you don't get it right away, you got to foul. They'll get the foul quickly on Bolton. More free throws for Regier Bolton.
Well, that last possession is why I thought Rudy Williams probably should have been on the floor a little bit more down the stretch. I mean, his ability to attack the paint was a big part of their success early in the second half of scoring inside the paint. Of his 9 points, 8 of them really, I mean, feels like they've been in the paint. I know he's got the 1 3-pointer, but he's been able to turn the corner. At least six of those points have been inside. Gritty performance out of Gonzaga tonight.
Seriously.
Really, I mean, look, the foul trouble for BYU played a large part in their ability to be aggressive. But one of the things the Zags did a much better job of in the second half was taking away second chance points. And they flipped the script on them, took a 6-point deficit into a 2-point lead.
Williams goes all the way again. Another layup is good. Trading 2 for 2 is not going to work for BYU, but the Cougars will use their final timeout. They did have one. I mean, you try to extend the game. You hope for some misses at the line. It's the best you can hope for.
Well, and this is, you know, you're in this situation. You're Mark Few. You just have your best free throw shooters in the game, which is, you know, what Drew Timmy's on the bench right now with 19 points, but he's had a great night shooting the free throw line tonight, but historically not his strength. Anton Watson out on the floor. He has struggled from the free throw line. He's 4 of 9. But everybody else has been great tonight from the stripe. And they just subbed Watson out during this timeout here.
Hey, you know, maybe that's an issue the Zags will have to think about as they go down the stretch, play big games, regular season, NCAA tournament. 2 of your best players not on the floor, but in this case, you got the 5-point lead. Makes perfect sense. And both those guys, big games. Timmy, the 19 points, ties his career high, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. Anton Watson, 12 points, 4 of 5 shooting, 6 rebounds. He had the 10 or 11 deflections against San Francisco. How many has he had tonight?
Probably the same amount.
Seriously.
BYU, though, answered the call. After losing that game against Pepperdine, the fight was much better tonight.
And for BYU, Hall was unhappy that they called the foul so quickly. He was just trying to tie up Rasir Bolton.
That's because the possession arrow goes in the favor of BYU.
Yeah.
So they're trying to really get that tie up there.
Bolton makes that free throw. Well, the Zags survive this. They'll stay one game behind St. Mary's and essentially control their own destiny to at least share a West Coast Conference title.
St. Mary's got a little bit of a scare in the first half, only up 1 on Portland, and then pulled away Logan Johnson, a huge performance.
All right, final 11 seconds. Williams hoists up a 3. That one no good. Hunter Salas rebound. He gets fouled. The final margin's not going to reflect how this game has been played. Dallin Hall unhappy with some of the whistles late.
All right, Mark, it's tough to overcome. You got so many guys in foul trouble. It disrupts the rhythm. It disrupts your flow. I thought BYU did a really good job trying to play through that. But at the end of the day, I mean, you look at the free throw line disparity in this contest. It's 33 attempts now for Gonzaga, 12 for BYU.
There's your game. And we talked about it. I mean, BYU did a great job of hanging around despite that foul trouble. But ultimately, the last 10 minutes, those fouls that piled up early in the second half and even going back to the first half paid off for Gonzaga. Robinson lays it in. 1.3 seconds on the clock. It's not quite over yet. And now it's over. 88-81, the final score. Gonzaga gets the win at home. And Sean, for BYU, another hard-fought, tough,